This is you. Your journey starts now. You're 24 years old, the first time you sign a document that makes it illegal to fully explain your own life to anyone you will ever meet. The form is 6 pages. Standard employment paperwork, mostly. But buried in page 4 is a non-disclosure agreement that has no expiration date and no clause for personal relationships or family emergencies. You sign it with a government-issued pen at a desk in a building whose address you were told verbally and will never see on official correspondence. The man across from you doesn't watch you sign. He already knows you will. You drive home that evening on the same road you've driven your whole life, and everything looks identical and nothing is. Level 1, CIA trainee, the farm. The official name of the facility is not used in conversation. Everyone calls it the farm. It is located in Virginia. That's the extent of what you're permitted to confirm to anyone outside it. You arrive with 23 other recruits. Advanced degrees between you, languages, political science, engineering, one former Army Ranger who speaks 4 languages and says less than anyone. You will spend the next 6 months here. The training covers surveillance, counter-surveillance, dead drops, cover identity construction, advanced driving, weapons qualification, interrogation resistance, and the specific art of building a relationship with a stranger for the sole purpose of extracting what they know. That last one, they call it asset development. It is the core skill of the Directorate of Operations. Everything else supports it. The days start at 5:30. The temperature in Virginia in February drops to -8 some mornings. You run in it. You conduct surveillance exercises in it. You stand outside in it waiting for an instructor who may or may not show up, because the exercise is sometimes the waiting and not what comes after. You're being assessed continuously, not just on performance, on judgment, on how you behave when you believe no one is watching. Especially then. 3 recruits wash out before the midpoint. They don't announce it. One morning those people simply aren't at breakfast. Their rooms are cleared by afternoon. Nobody asks. That too is part of the assessment. You graduate on a Tuesday. There is no ceremony. Your supervisor shakes your hand and tells you your first assignment. You write nothing down. Level 2, Junior Case Officer. Your first posting is domestic. A support role in a regional office that processes intelligence from 3 active overseas operations you are not clear to know by name. You know them by numerical designations. You write summaries. You cross-reference. You flag inconsistencies in reporting that analysts 3 pay grades above you will evaluate and mostly set aside. Your salary is $62,000 annually. Your security clearance is TS/SCI. The gap between what you're trusted with and what you're compensated for is something you notice and do not mention. You have a cover. Not a deep cover. Not yet. But a professional identity that explains your employer as a federal contractor involved in data analysis. You use it at parties. You use it on first dates. You use it so consistently that it develops its own texture, its own set of anecdotes. Your cover self has opinions about his work, his commute, his unremarkable Monday mornings. Your actual self is producing intelligence summaries in a windowless room in a building that doesn't appear on any public federal directory. You date a woman named Claire for 11 months. She is warm, direct, and asks good questions. The good questions are the problem. Not because you don't trust her, because the architecture of your professional life is built specifically to resist exactly the kind of intimacy that good questions create. You end it before she can ask the one question you couldn't answer. She deserves that much honesty, even if you can't tell her why. Level 3, Case Officer. First overseas posting. Year 3. Ankara, Turkey. Your cover is a second secretary position at the Embassy, Cultural Affairs. Your actual function is running 2 assets inside a mid-level government ministry who provide advanced visibility on procurement decisions that intersect with 3 active counterproliferation operations. You meet your assets in separate locations, on separate schedules, using separate tradecraft protocols. One of them, a man in his 50s who has been providing intelligence for 6 years before you inherit him, meets you every 3rd Wednesday at a specific tea house near the Old City. You drink tea you don't particularly like for 2 hours and discuss things that sound like ordinary conversation and contain, inside the ordinary conversation, information that will travel encrypted to Langley within 4 hours of your return to the embassy. The weight of what you're doing doesn't announce itself dramatically. It accumulates. You're responsible for 2 human beings who have placed their safety inside your professional competence. If you make a tradecraft error, wrong surveillance detection route, wrong communication timing, a pattern that becomes visible to the wrong analyst in the wrong service, those 2 people face consequences that have nothing to do with employment termination. You don't make errors. You are very, very careful. The carefulness becomes a permanent state of cognitive operation that you carry into every environment, every conversation, every room you enter. You assess exits. You note who arrived before you. You register faces without appearing to register them. You do this at dinner parties. You do this at your cousin's wedding. You do this everywhere, always, because the skill doesn't have an off switch once it's built. Level 4. Senior Case Officer. 7 years in, you have completed postings in Ankara, Amman, and 18 months in a location you will never confirm publicly. You are now a Senior Case Officer. You manage a network of 6 assets across 2 countries. You have a junior officer assigned to support your operations, the first person you've been responsible for professionally, and the experience of watching someone else learn what you learned is clarifying in ways you didn't expect. You see your own early errors in their early errors. You correct them with more patience than you were corrected with, partly because patience works better and partly because you remember what it felt like. Your assets are complex human beings with complex motivations. One provides intelligence for ideological reasons. One for money. He receives $4,500 per month through a cutout financial arrangement. One out of a personal grievance against a superior that predates your relationship with him by a decade. You manage each of them differently because the relationship is the operation. The information flows from the relationship. Damage the relationship and the information stops, or worse, degrades without you knowing it. Your father has a health event in year 8. You're in the field when it happens. You receive the information through a personal communication channel with a 12-hour delay. You manage the next 48 hours of an active operation while processing information you cannot share with anyone around you because none of them know you have a father who is currently in a hospital in Ohio rather than the background your cover constructs. He recovers. You don't discuss it with anyone. You file in the same place you file everything that doesn't have an operational category. That place is getting full. Level 5, GS, 14 Branch Chief. Year 12. You are back at Langley in a leadership position. You manage a branch of 11 officers running operations across a region that spans 6 countries. Your day is meetings, cable traffic, budget justifications, personnel evaluations, and the constant management of a gap between what your branch needs to operate effectively and what the institutional budget cycle is willing to provide on its timeline. The CIA is not the organization the outside world imagines. It is a large federal bureaucracy with a classified mission. It has interdepartmental friction. It has personnel who were promoted beyond their operational competence. It has procurement processes that take 14 months to acquire equipment that commercial markets deliver in 2 weeks. It has institutional memory problems because the people who know things are bound by classification and the people who need to know things are waiting for clearances that take 8 months to process. You spend a significant portion of your professional energy navigating the organization's own architecture to accomplish the organization's stated objectives. This is not unique to intelligence work. It is, you've come to understand, the universal condition of large institutions. The mission and the machinery that's supposed to serve the mission are always, to some degree, in tension. You're good at your job. Your annual performance reviews use words like exceptional and indispensable. You are compensated at $134,000 annually. You have not lived in the same city for more than 3 consecutive years in a decade. You own almost nothing. Everything in your life is portable by design. Level 6, Senior Intelligence Service, SGS, Station Chief. Year 17. You are given a station. A station chief is the CIA's senior officer in a country. You are responsible for all agency operations within that country. The assets, the relationships with liaison services, the cover architecture, the budget, the personnel. You report to the relevant division chief at Langley and to the ambassador through a relationship that requires its own navigation because the ambassador's equities and the agency's equities are not always aligned, and the gap between them is your daily working environment. Your station runs 11 active operations. Your budget is classified but significant. You have 9 officers under your authority and relationships with 3 foreign intelligence services whose cooperation is transactional, useful, and never fully trusted. At this level, you make decisions with consequences that extend beyond intelligence reporting. You authorize operations that affect people's lives, their freedom, their safety, occasionally their continued existence in arrangements that are authorized at levels above yours, but executed within your station's architecture. The authorization chain is real. It is documented. It does not make the weight lighter. You speak to your sister on the phone every 2 weeks. She has 3 children now. She sends you photographs. You are present in very few of them. In the ones where you appear, you look like a man visiting from somewhere else. Which is accurate. The realization. It happens in year 19, in a debriefing room in a building you cannot name, across a table from a man who has just spent 4 hours explaining, in precise detail, the operational failure that resulted in the exposure of 2 assets in a network you built over 3 years. The assets are alive. That matters. But they are burned, their access terminated, their safety compromised in ways that will follow them permanently. One of them has a daughter. You met her once, briefly, in a context entirely removed from the operational relationship. She was 7. She was drawing something in a notebook in the corner of a room while her father spoke to you about things she was not supposed to understand. You sit in the debriefing room and you listen to the operational timeline being reconstructed, and you find yourself calculating not the intelligence loss, but the specific personal cost to 2 human beings who trusted the institution you represent. Who trusted you specifically? The institution will conduct a lessons learned review. Recommendations will be produced. A cable will be distributed. The next operation will incorporate the corrective measures. The system will process this event and continue. The 2 people whose lives were altered by it will not be processed and continued. They will carry it. You spent 19 years believing that the quality of your work protected the people inside it. You are not wrong exactly, but you are not entirely right either. The system protects its operations. People are variables inside the operations. Sometimes the variables are managed well. Sometimes they absorb the cost of the system's errors. You sit with that for a long time after the room empties. The exit. You retire at 51. The paperwork is straightforward. The transition is managed by an office that exists specifically to manage it, a testament to how many people have walked this particular corridor before you. You receive a flag, a letter, a pension structured in a way your financial advisor will find unusual. You sign 3 additional non-disclosure supplements on your last day. The man who processes your retirement paperwork is 26. He has the same careful eyes you had at 24. He will be excellent at this. You move to a house in a mid-sized city where nobody knows what you did for 3 decades. You are a federal retiree. That's the story. It contains enough truth to function. Your sister visits in the spring. Her children are teenagers now. They ask you questions about your work, and you give them the answers you've been giving for 30 years. The cover answers, polished to a smoothness that no longer feels like lying. It feels like a second language you've spoken so long it has displaced something in the original. Somewhere right now, a 24-year-old is sitting across a desk from a man who isn't watching them sign. They are thinking about the mission, about purpose, about the difference they will make inside a system that has been making its particular version of difference since 1947. The system doesn't need their belief in it to function, but it runs better when they believe. They will believe for a long time. Most of them never fully stop.